Bill Maher blames Biden low approval on Americans being chronically bummed. He said, cheer the F up. I'm going to apologize for some of the language he displays in this. Y'all know I try not to have too much profanity in my videos. But he makes some really, really stupid points here. And I want to call him out on that, especially particularly when it comes to mental health stuff that he's talking about and he don't know anything about. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this. But before we get started, go ahead and hit the like button, share this out, and also check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from Mediaite, Philip Nito. But anyway, he reports that, and I'm going to play the clip in a second. During Friday's real-time, host Bill Maher blamed President Joe Biden's low approval ratings on Americans being too concerned with their mental health, claiming people need to cheer the F up. Again, which is just a ridiculous thing to say, especially in this climate. For him to say something like this is just ridiculous. So let me play this clip here. Let's check this out.
Yeah, it's an awesome burn for about 5 seconds. So enjoy that 5 seconds, because then an electric drill comes out and he puts it in your knee.
Yeah, here we go.
And finally, new rule, being obsessed with your mental health is bad for your mental health. I've been thinking a lot lately about a puzzle many are struggling with. Why are Biden's approval ratings so low when things are generally pretty good? Now, of course, there are problems. America's a big...
He said things are generally pretty good. What world is this man living in where things are, quote, generally pretty good? Inflation is the worst it has ever been. Some people believe we're in a recession. Some people believe we're in a depression. But the economy is just bad across the board. Unemployment, people are struggling, losing their jobs. You can't buy a home. Rent is super expensive. Gas is expensive. I could keep going. But yet he said it's okay. Everything is fine. This guy lives in a bubble. These Hollywood elites don't know anything.
Place, but wages are rising. Unemployment is negligible. The stock market is soaring.
Real wages is not up. If you look at the numbers, real wages is not up. When you factor in inflation, people are struggling. What is he talking about? It's just lies on top of lies.
We somehow brushed off both the Trump presidency and the pandemic. Yes, inflation persists for a lot of things, but you know, an actual good, nice-sized TV now costs $60. Who gets credit for that?
Yeah, inflation is super high. You can't afford to feed your family, but yeah, you can buy a TV for a big screen TV for $60. That's awesome. So that makes everything okay. That's the dumbest point I've ever heard.
We've got next day shipping, stuffed crust pizza, legal weed, GPS, and porn on the phone.
None of that is because of Biden. Everything he just named has nothing to do with Biden. So why is he celebrating these things?
Cheer the fuck up.
That's a suggestion. Yeah, things are bad, but I won't pretend like things are good, and cheer the F up. That's his advice. That's his advice to the majority of Americans who's struggling right now.
Stop acting like life in America in 2024 is unbearable. Biden's ratings are in the toilet, not because he's doing such a bad job, but because a lot of Americans like to live with their head in the toilet.
Okay, so things are bad because we keep our head in the toilet. We keep our head in the sand. Things are really great. You're just too dumb to know that things are going great. That's what he's saying.
Look at the numbers.
Well, look at the
Let's look at the
numbers.
numbers. Almost a third of American adults have reported a depression diagnosis at some point in their life. And while depression is, of course, a very real thing, it's also true that earlier generations never suffered from the expectation that you're supposed to feel good all the time. 1 in 8 adults are on antidepressants, and that doesn't include the ones who
See, he's totally don't know what he's talking about. When he's talking about being diagnosed, that means a practitioner diagnosed you with depression. And when you are diagnosed with depression, that doesn't mean that you are sad, are not having good days. Like every day isn't good. That's not what depression means. It's a clinical thing. You have to be sad, depressed, and things. You have to have a number of symptoms. I'm not going to go over the list of symptoms, but you have to have a number of symptoms throughout a certain time period, like over a month or so, to be considered a major depression. So we just don't diagnose people willy nilly just because they had a few sad days throughout a short period of time. That's not what depression is. So he don't even know what he's talking about right now. This guy's an idiot, just saying things to make himself sound good when in reality he doesn't know what he's talking about. Didn't he just have Dr. Phil on his show? Why didn't he talk to Dr. Phil about this when he had it on his show? It's a real thing. People are really struggling right now. But again, these Hollywood elites don't know anything about that because they live in their bubble.
steal them from their kids.
Like, I'm a therapist, I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a licensed therapist in a few states, more than just one state. And I can tell you business is booming because people are struggling right now to live in this economy, straight up. I hate to say it, but it's true.
And the kids? The newest TikTok challenge is self-diagnosis of mental problems. Because what's more of a hotbed of mental health than TikTok? In 20...
I will have to say I do agree with that. I have had people come to me, and teens in particular, come to me saying, yeah, I know I have this, I know I have that. I've seen something on TikTok, and I have some of these same symptoms. I have heard some kids and some adults say that before, but I really don't pay any mind to that. And just because a kid come to you and said they saw a diagnosis on TikTok doesn't mean we necessarily diagnosed them with that. So he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about.
2022, the CDC released the results of a survey on teen mental health, and over 40% said they feel persistently sad or hopeless. And antidepressant use among young males is rapidly rising, unlike their dicks. Now, without a doubt, antidepressants can be life-saving for those who need them, but here's the thing. About 3/4 of Americans who are on them haven't been diagnosed with depression at all. They just want a magic pill. We spend $6 billion a year on drug ads, all featuring someone emerging from darkness to play with a dog.
That is true. That is true. And a lot of people are on the meds because, like, general practitioners diagnose them, give them the medications. But the issue is not because that they're receiving it and not being given to them by a psychiatrist or anything like that. Is we have a lack of like, it's so difficult to see a prescriber. We call them prescribers because some nurse practitioners can assign psycho medications to people as well. So prescribers is not that many prescribers. So it is difficult. Sometimes it takes months to go in and see a prescriber, to see a psychiatrist, to see a nurse practitioner that can diagnose and give you give you the antidepressants, because it's like it'll take months sometimes to see some of these people. So they go to their general practitioners, who that's their regular doctors, who will give them the anti-medication meds until they're able to go in to see a prescriber and really be diagnosed with something and get that medication. Again, he doesn't know what he's talking about, so that's why he make these statements, and it's not really accurate. Yes, 70-something% of the people with antidepressants are not diagnosed with depression because they're getting these medications from their general practitioners. So he's not asking how are they getting the medications. Then he's not asking that. Oh my! This is what happens when you just talk and don't know what you're talking about.
And all with the message, you're a sad sack of shit. Now take this. Also, and don't get mad at me, I'm just citing statistics, but the people who really shouldn't be that bummed out but are acting like it anyway are exactly who you think. White women. An estimated 35% of whom are on antidepressants, although in their defense, have you seen the prices at Lululemon? These gals are so distraught they can barely keep their appointment with the Vietnamese girl who does their nails.
A lot of not every one of them, but a lot of these women are like this because of what's going on with society and with culture and the feminism push and everything else. They're depressed. I mean, I see this a lot in my practice.
Calling Dr. TikTok. But every bad feeling isn't a disease, and Americans really need to stop pathologizing everything. No one's just sad anymore. They're clinically depressed. They don't merely worry, they have chronic anxiety. Do you like things neat and organized? That's OCD. You're bummed when it's cold out? Seasonal depression. Hate being alone? Separation anxiety. Bored? That's ADHD. Shy? Social anxiety disorder. Why? Because you don't want to go to the office party? Nobody does.
He's making light of this, but he doesn't understand these are real diagnoses. We just don't give them to people for no reason. We talk to these people, we see the symptoms, we know the frequency and the intensity and all these other things, and we give assessments and things like that. We just don't willy-nilly diagnose people with this. This is not true. I've worked around a bunch of other practitioners, around a bunch of other therapists, and we are very selective with what we diagnose people with. We just don't diagnose people with these things just because you don't like talking to, around, don't want to go to a party. That doesn't mean you have social anxiety. I mean, this is very disingenuous. Very disingenuous.
Best case scenario, you have too much fun and it leads to getting fired. Are you moody? No, you're bipolar. And some people are bipolar. And some people are on the spectrum. But sometimes on the spectrum is just a hall pass for being a jerk.
See, again, we are very, especially when it comes to bipolar disorder, diagnosing people with autism, we are very selective with this. We just don't diagnose people with these things. And when you're an idiot like Bill Maher, you don't know these things. He literally had Dr. Phil on his show a few weeks ago. He could have talked to him about this, and I'm sure Dr. Phil would have checked him on this stuff, because nothing that he's saying is true.
I'm clinically an asshole. Nothing I can do. Yes, you are on the spectrum, but so is everyone else alive. That's why they call it a spectrum. And it's not noble to glom onto the soft end of it. PTSD is for people who fought in Iraq, not for people who want to bring their dog on a plane. There are people in America with real problems who deserve to feel sad, but sometimes a bad day is just a bad day. When you constantly reinforce this message that no one's just a normal human with normal struggles, but we're all permanently fucked in the head, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe the solution is much simpler, and you just went a week without sleep or sunlight. Maybe you have problems that could be solved with vegetables.
See, he's saying these things, but these are actually therapeutic things that we teach people. We just You know, this is what therapy is about. People that are feeling sad and stuff like that, we do tell them to go outside and get some of that sunlight. We do tell them to make sure they're eating vegetables and lean protein and fruits. This is part of therapy. You know what I'm saying? So people really do need this, and some people don't really know about these things. So what is, again? I don't understand the points that he's trying to make here, except for offend a bunch of people with legitimate mental health issues.
Or exercise. Studies have shown that while antidepressants can be effective in serious cases, for most people, exercise is even more effective.
And he's not wrong. Again, this is something we talk about in therapy. Exercise is a very important factor. Being physically active helps your overall well-being, not only your mental health and not only your physical, but your mental health as well.
Because exercise helps you get laid. Whereas antidepressants just make you listen to podcasts about murder. A couple of months ago, Elmo, the Muppet from every screaming toddler's iPad, wrote on his Twitter account, "Elmo is just checking in. How's everybody doing?" And Twitter responded like he was the suicide hotline.
I didn't know that.
Wife left me. Daughters don't respect me. My job is a joke. Any more questions, Elmo? Elmo, I'm going to be real. I'm at my fucking limit. In the grand scheme of the universe, our existence is merely a blink, devoid of inherent meaning or purpose. And Elmo wrote back, "You think you have it bad? Try living your life with a guy's forearm shoved up your ass." All right. That's our show. I'll be at Arizona Field.
That's an old joke. That's an old joke there. That's an old puppet joke. Come on, man. He could have did better than that. But let me know what y'all think about this, about Bill Maher's take on this whole mental health stuff and the economy and what's going on with people, why people are bummed out. Leave your comments down below, like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.